Well, howdy there, y'all.
Hey there, partners.
Hey there, partners. Welcome to the next episode, all about country western people. We're talking Texas.
Texas. We're talking Oklahoma.
We're talking Mississippi.
We're talking Alabama.
That's what we're talking about. Just kidding, guys.
Just kidding. We had you.
Yeah, we really got you there.
We had you fooled. As you all know, it's October, the best month of the year.
Yeah, some call it Spooktober.
Spooktober, spooky season. So we thought for spooky season, why not do some spooky ass episodes?
That's right. And so for the next 4 weeks, we got some spooky topics for you. Mm-hmm. And astrology last week, I feel like kind of goes in the same vein a little bit. So that was kind of like our precursor to spooky season.
Yes. But today's episode, we are going to be talking about
witchcraft.
Witches.
Okay. We didn't say the same word.
No, we didn't. We did not. Okay,
but you get the idea.
Yeah, you get the idea. Kirsten, can you give me your best witch laugh?
Was that good?
Yeah, that was really good.
You go. Oh, that was good. That was better. You like really went for it. Wait, now I want to try again.
Okay, try again. Ooh, that was kind of scary.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about witches as an archetype, and we go into the history a little bit. But I want to start off by saying this topic was called to me. Called to us, really, because we were together.
Actually, it was called to both of us.
Yeah. So I think this is the day that we did shrooms.
Yes, it was. So that if that, everything's connected. So it was, we were on shrooms, walking around your neighborhood with Mochi, your cat,
In
and
the stroller.
The
Yeah, and there's this lady with one of those old VW buses, vans, and she just gives away clothes and random shit.
She has like a free
from
rack.
the sidewalk. Yeah, she has like a rack and like a table. And on the table, I don't think there was really anything else
There was like 2 books or 3 books on the table.
And we came across this tome. It's like a humongous hardback book from the Library of Esoterica, just called Witchcraft.
Yeah.
And it's like, just to give you some context, it's like 600 pages. And it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, there's a lot of pretty pictures and...
Yeah, there's like full pages of just like witch art. And so I used this book as my reference for most of the stuff. And just going into it, this could be an entire podcast.
Yeah. I mean, we could honestly just change the trajectory of our podcast altogether and just start a coven.
We're thinking about it, actually.
Like, our journey into witchcraft.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Let us know in the comments.
I'm trying to be in a coven.
I'm trying to start a coven with you.
Let's go.
Let's do it. No, but for real, I think
I've always wanted this.
I really have too.
Okay, let's do it.
Like when I was a kid, I was really into witches. And I remember one time, when I was that was elementary school. I was in the gifted and talented program, and I just got.
Of course you were.
I had just gotten moved to a different school, and so I was meeting new friends. And there was another girl there that had been there for a year that came from my previous school. So I kind of latched onto her, and she was like, "This is my friend, blah blah blah." Her name was Michelle, and I don't remember the other girl's name, but they were best friends. And the other girl was a year older. So then it was the 3 of us hanging out, and they're like, "Yeah, we're witches," and those guys are warlocks, and telling me about the guys, and I was like, "Yeah, we are witches, and they are warlocks." And then this goes on, and we're just witches, just being witches, and then
were you living the craft?
Yeah, I had little witch books, but I had this stuff previous, but I was joining their coven, I thought. So I thought. But then I don't know, a month later, they're like, "No, we were just joking. We're not witches. Witches aren't real." And I was like, okay, well, I thought they were real, and I still think they're real,
so rude.
I know.
Dude, witches are real, so joke's on them.
Yeah.
And we are one. We are
I bet
somehow.
they told their parents about it and then felt guilty, and then they were like, "No, we have to say it's a joke."
Yeah. Their parents were like, "That's the devil's craft."
In any case, that's my social witchcraft. But I also had, oh my gosh, there was a period in my life where I cleared out the entire closet, and I put these little clay pots that I had made with spices in them, and I had a little witch like altar
Wow.
in my closet.
That's cool.
And then I also later I got a loft bed, which is like it's like a halfway up loft bed. So it wasn't like all the way up. You could only sit down in it.
Mm-hmm.
And like under the loft bed became my altar. And we used to try to
My
do like
altar.
we used to try to do like Ouija board with our Scrabble pieces.
Oh my God.
I remember one time me and my friend were down there, and my mom comes in and she's like, "Girls, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's dangerous. Don't do that.
Mess with the demons, girls." Do you remember "Light as a feather, stiff as a board"?
I know that rhyme. What is that?
You
from?
would play it. Well, we would play it at sleepovers, and it would be like everyone puts their fingers underneath you. And then they start saying, "Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board." And then they like lift you up, and it's supposed to feel like
You're levitating.
you're
or something?
levitating. Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you have any witch stories from your past?
That was one, and then I did play a witch one time.
Oh, really?
In a low budget local horror film.
Oh, I remember you telling me about the film, but I didn't know you were a witch in it.
I was a witch, and we did like a ceremony sacrifice thing.
That's cool.
In the movie, and that was directed by Missy Myers, who we're going to have on the show.
See, it's all connected, guys.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, but it's all connected.
Shouts out.
It's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. But you've always been like kind of interested in witchcraft.
Well, I grew up like kind of religious, so it was not something that was celebrated. Like my mom wasn't going to be like, "Yeah, let me buy you this witch book." Like, you know. But I was always into like the spooky stuff, and I always thought maybe my family were witches because like I've always had crazy dreams, and my mom was so intuitive. It was scary. So I was like, maybe my family is a witch.
Yeah, so had she not been so Christian, maybe she would have gone down that path.
Yeah, maybe. And I remember thinking, maybe when I turn 16, they'll tell me I'm a witch. Like I had the Sabrina the Teenage Witch like in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Were you into Harry Potter at all?
No, I wasn't.
You missed out.
I wasn't into Harry
missed
Potter.
out.
That's the only thing.
I think you would have been.
I don't
like,
know.
Had you like...
Well, we read the book in school.
Oh, you read it in school?
We read the first book in school.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I think I was in like 6th grade or something. And we read it, and I was just like, eh.
Well, you had to have read it like as a kid to really have appreciated it. Because like Harry was like 11. So like you relate to him more.
Old. But no, that's about
6th
the
grade.
age.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But still, I don't know. I liked it. I watched it. I read it when I was like 8. And I remember just being obsessed.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah. Anywho, that's our history. Goodbye. Thank you so much.
That was our episode on witchcraft. But first,
I'm Kirsten.
and I'm Allie.
And you're listening to
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Witchcraft.
Also, by the way, guys, I think we finally learned how to use this mic setup.
We did, and it sounds fucking buttery.
We're so good. We're professional now.
Yeah.
All right. We won A+.
Also, this is our 20th episode.
That's so exciting.
This random man at a bar to us was like, you know, if you make it to your 20th episode, you're doing better than 98% of all the podcasters out there.
So here we are.
We don't know if that's a truth.
Who said that to us?
Just the random men that sat across from us at 4100.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
They
yeah.
were
I forgot about that.
we were like,
the guy with the scarf.
Yeah. We were like, follow us on our podcast page.
Did they?
I think they did.
I hope they're listening right now.
They probably unfollowed us after that. They were probably
Listen, guys. Listen, Scarf Boy. We made it.
Listen, Scarf Boy. Oh my gosh. Breaking news.
What?
We have 101 followers.
Oh, fuck yeah. It worked.
We broke 100 followers before we were done with this episode.
That was our goal.
That
we
was
were
our
at
goal.
97 before.
And now we have 101. So we even went past our goal.
Yeah, I want to see who did it. Who done it?
Who done did it?
So, listen, guys. You're in luck. Elizabeth apparently wasn't following us.
Wow, our own guest.
Our own guest.
Wow.
And then
Joe Scribble,
that's Kadar's friend.
yes.
Thank you to Erica Ferretti. Thank you to Sarah J.
Sarah J.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
were
much.
the ones that helped us make it.
We did it. We made it to our goal.
It
It doesn't sound very big, 100 followers, but it is. It's a goal.
It's a thing, and you know what? For the little amount of effort that we've put into actually like making our Instagram grow, that's something. Some
I
people
agree.
stay
80 followers.
40 their whole
followers.
life.
Sometimes people are 40 we got 40 followers for the rest of their life.
Yeah, but you know what? We're pushing that content out. Yeah.
We're going to get better.
We are going to talk about witchcraft, and you can start because if we're thinking chronologically, the question is,
Oh, yes.
when did witchcraft start?
Yes. So I'm glad you asked. No one really knows.
Okay.
But, I thought this was really interesting. The earliest record of a witch is in the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got some religious roots here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Bible says that there are witches. So maybe there are. Just kidding. So in the first book of Samuel, which was thought to be written in 931 BC, tells the story of when King Saul sought the witch of Endor to summon the dead prophet Samuel's spirit to help him defeat the Philistine army.
The Witch of Endor. If that doesn't sound like a fantasy novel.
The Witch of Endor. I mean, the Bible is.
Maybe we should get into the Bible.
Maybe.
I like fantasy sometimes.
I know. I like fantasy. It's fun. It's unique.
Well,
it's
I hear
different.
the Old Testament. So, at least in the sect of Christianity that I was in, we were taught that the Old Testament is supposed to be fantasy, not real.
Right.
And
yeah,
the New
that's what they say.
Testament. New Testament is from history.
Yeah.
So yeah, Old Testament just a big old fantasy novel.
I mean, I think the whole thing might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
I mean, literally somebody wrote it from things in their brain. They fantasize it. Okay. Well, that's another episode.
We'll go into the Bible, and if it's real or fake, it's fake. Okay.
All right. So that'll be the next one. But yeah, so was that all about the Bible part?
Yeah, that was the first time there's been like a recorded witch in history. So it seems like it goes back really far.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going along with that, and I want to have a little disclaimer because I got this timeline from Witchcraft from the Library of Esoterica, which they do talk about Western culture mostly. Mm-hmm. Most of it is from the Western lens. So I'm completely doing this history on the Western lens. There's a lot of other cultures that have witchcraft, a rich history, probably more complex than the westernized version. Mm-hmm. But this is the information from the Western lens based on what we know.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 1258, this is the rise of the Inquisition. Okay. And now this is taking me back to history class. Mm-hmm. So the Inquisition is when the Catholic Church was just really pounding down, making a lot of rules in Europe. And they make demon worship and sorcery punishable as heresy.
What is heresy?
Oh, heresy is like against the Bible, illegal.
Oh,
yeah.
Would they kill them?
That detail isn't mentioned, but maybe, yes. So then we jump a couple 100 years. I'm sure there's some stuff in between that with witchcraft, some shit that happened. But if we jump forward, we have in 1486 through 1487 the Malleus Maleficarum.
Maleficarum.
And this is translated as the Hammer of the Witches. This is written by Henrik Kramer and Jacob Springer, and it's a manual for hunting down and persecuting witches.
Wow.
So this is when like the witch hunts I think really started. And this, if you look up this book, it actually is like well known as one of the oldest like written records about witches too. So it's interesting if you want to learn about witches as well. It's not just about like hunting them and killing them. But I think that's the goal.
That's so crazy.
Of the book.
Yeah, well, I was reading that witch hysteria, like that we all think of, started in the 1400s in Europe. So
So, yeah.
It says
probably from The Hammer of Witches
Yeah,
by
well,
Henrik Kramer.
it does say within a century witch hunts were common and were most of the accused were executed by burning at the stake or hanging.
Beautiful.
So that was happening in the 1400s.
The next part that I have jumps to the 1600s. And so between the years of 1610 and 1630, there was an immense wave of persecutions in England and Europe, and they're killing countless innocent people.
What if they were not innocent, though? What if they were, in fact, witches?
But are they guilty? Guilty of what? Heresy.
Heresy. I mean, we already... The law's the law, you know?
I guess that's true.
So then
we have the infamous witch trials of Salem, Massachusetts.
I would love to go to Salem.
Oh my God.
We should
Me
do
too.
that.
Yeah. It seems like such a cool town.
It does. And we could like hit up Boston and then go to Salem and I bet
Make a
there's
whole
lot
trip of it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be witches, we should probably go
Yeah,
see where
we need to go to our roots.
Yeah, we got to visit our roots.
Yes, it's very ancestral witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, let's make that a thing. Let's make
maybe
that
we
a
have
trip.
ancestors in Salem, Massachusetts.
We might.
Who knows?
Who knows?
So, 19 people are killed over the course of 3 months in the small town of Salem, Massachusetts, and this is the witch trials, the witch hunts.
Ooh.
And there's a lot more that goes into that history, but that's the basics of it. Lots of people died.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 19 people in a small town, that's kind of a lot. And that was in 3 months.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's wild. And then my record kind of jumps forward another 200 years after that. But in between, there's just a lot of academic literature that's being published about witches during this time. And I'm sure that there's still more witch hunts happening.
Yeah, so and then in 1893, human rights activist Matilda Joslyn Gage publishes A Women, Church, and State, which claims the number of women killed in the witch hunts was in the millions.
Yeah, and this is not what they're saying in the records, but she's like, actually, it's like the Holocaust where they try to say it was less.
Yeah, because I was reading like 80,000 were killed, and also 80% were women, by the way. But there were men also. But yeah, that's she's saying actually, you know, there was millions of people killed.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're
who
trying to
knows?
hide it.
Who knows?
Yeah. And then I thought this fact was relevant just because it's Hollywood. We have the 1950s to the 1970s. Famous occultist and artist Marjorie Cameron. And she's kind of known for her cult underground Hollywood appearances in film. And she's also an artist and poet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Marjorie.
So these are people to look up and learn more about.
Yeah.
And
like, we really could just do our podcast as a witch podcast now.
Yeah. There's so much.
Would you be into that, listeners?
I would be. Oh, I thought you were asking me.
I mean, I know you would be.
But
listeners,
what do you think?
Should that be our thing?
Should it? Let us know, guys. It might happen. Okay, this next one I love, and I want you to read it.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Okay, so in 1968, the first iteration of WITCH, WITCH, which stands for Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell, is formed in light of the women's liberation movement. They were feminists for social change. Mm-hmm. So, Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell.
Yeah.
Is the way to go.
Yep.
They're
and you can tell, you know, they're doing that to be like,
funny.
Y'all killed millions of people for what?
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
From hell.
And this book has a lot of really cool pictures of these women. I posted one to the story, and we can also add them to our Instagram post when we upload this. But this is like one of the women. Ooh. And I'm showing Allie a picture, and it's just this lady wearing a cape, and it looks very 70s or 60s, 70s.
She looks crazy.
And she's just like got her tongue out
she's
and like face painted. Yeah. Oh, and they also had other fun acronym names that they would change it to. Like this one is Welcoming Immigrants and Their Children Here.
We should make our own witch acronym.
Yeah. Who is that chick hottie? Okay,
girl, that's a witch over there.
We can workshop that one. Yeah. What do you think?
We is the chosen heroes.
Chosen hoes?
Hoes. we is the chosen hoes. That's
I
what
like
that's
that.
what I say. Yeah.
Then we start to like get into the new wave. So we have like the 1970s and 1980s new wave. It's becoming more popularized in the US, and there's these, groups of women that are like creating new wave stores with incense and crystals and all of that stuff. And then it's also like going along with the feminist movement in the 70s.
Shouts out.
And there's a sect that comes about called the Alexandrian sect of witchcraft in the 1970s. And then this is famous by Alex and Maxine Sanders. So, yeah, 1970s, 80s, New Age movement. And then the 1990s I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, in the 1990s, information about witches spreads through popularity and through the magazines, right?
Zines.
Oh, self-published zines.
Zines, yeah.
So,
I remember zines.
What is a
And it's
zine?
a
I
thing,
can't
and
remember.
it's a thing that's kind of people are doing now. I mean, it's a magazine.
But it's like smaller.
Yeah, it's a magazine,
Like
and
local?
like artists make them, and they usually have like some form of curated art or music involved with it, but it's
Okay.
independent publishing.
That's cute.
But you can make a zine, like a handmade zine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of people do that, like a hand-drawn zine.
And, the 90s, I feel like, did have a lot of witches. So it was like kind of a
Yes.
thing.
Yeah,
Because
we
they
have
had Sabrina, The Craft,
Yeah.
all these.
Oh, we need to watch The Craft. I haven't seen that movie.
What?
I don't know why, but I haven't.
I cannot believe that. Okay, well, we will watch it like ASAP.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Ooh, 1998.
Yeah,
It's your boy. It's your boy.
It's my boy HP. 98 is when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out in the U.S. when it was published, the book. And then in 2001, we have the movie that comes out.
I can't
And
believe it's that old. 1998.
Yeah, but I remember reading the books. Like, I remember when the movie came out, and I was young.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I did read it before 6th grade. I don't know.
I think I was in elementary school.
I was in elementary
sure.
school too, but I was the last group that went to elementary school in 6th grade. So I could have been. But
you're also 2 grades older than me. I think about that. You're only a year older, but you're 2 grades older.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
changes
Yeah.
things too, I think, a little bit. I freaking loved it.
Well, in the 2000s, where we are now, 2000s and onward, I feel like, I mean, it says that it got more broad and there was a lot of knowledge about the witch and
Yeah.
stuff, but I feel like it's kind of trendy now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like broadening. I've bought a lot of these witchy books, like self-care witchy books. And after diving into this tome, the witchy books are very much like, sprinkle a little dust on your nose. And like, it's like very catered to the self-care world that's like basic.
Yeah. If you're a witch girly who sprinkles stuff on their nose for beauty, you're basic as fuck. And we
Yeah,
won't fuck with you and you're not
clearly.
invited into our coven.
Yeah. Oh,
We're looking for real witches.
we're
here.
looking for real witches that want to practice real witchcraft, which we are gonna learn about.
We are. Just wait until
Just
next
wait.
episode. We're going to be
Witch masters. I don't know about all that, but we're gonna know. I
witches.
love this stuff though.
Me too.
But okay, we've been talking about archetypes a lot. Actually.
I wish that was like a thing you could get on there. Like,
What?
you're just a witch.
You're a witch.
You're a witch.
But I think our archetype is the most witchy. The
Oh.
mediator,
Really?
just the way she looks.
I mean, yeah, she's like a little child of
she's
the
like a
earth.
little fairy
Yeah.
earth witch.
Yeah.
Oh, what do they call them? The green witch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we see them depicted both in darkness and in light.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think of like the classic, just
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, yeah. Yeah, you
got
have the
the
ugly
evil
witch,
witch
yeah,
and the good witch.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I was going to say. And we also think of them as goddesses
Yes.
in Greek mythology. But then we think about, and I think it's mostly religion, patriarchal religious ideas have gotten this like motif of them being evil, ugly monsters with like a hunchback and
and a big nose and
Yeah.
a wart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that's because witches were typically feminists and kind of fighting against the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the patriarchy like started depicting them as evil creatures. In a
Yeah,
way.
taking the power away. They're trying to like hold their power within themselves, but that doesn't follow the rules of the society that they're trying to create. So they're like, she's a witch.
They're like,
Heresy.
you don't want to be a witch. Look how ugly they are.
Mm-hmm.
So stop fighting against our rules, woman.
Or we'll crack the whip.
Yeah.
And then in the book, there was this really nice quote, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It's written by Amanda Yates Garcia, and it's in the Library of Esoterica's Witchcraft, which is the book I've been referencing. Often antagonists, witches are not afraid of the hero, his men, or his weapons. So think about like Greek mythology and witches. Consider the Greek witch Circe. While Odysseus' wife Persephone sulks around the family home, accosted by suitors, silenced by her son, prayed for her husband to return from his adventures, Circe waits for no one. From her garden in the island of Aiaia, she exults and enjoys. If Odysseus' men try to harm her, she turns them into swine.
Hell yeah.
Witches live outside of civilization and its rules. In fact, the witches' disinterest in the hero and his adventures that the patriarchal authorities despise. They want her toiling in the nursery, waving hankies at the hero.
Wait, isn't toiling like a witchy term?
Yeah.
Double toiling trouble.
They want her toiling in the nursery, waving hankies at the hero while he expands his empire. But witches in a nursery just turn children into changelings, and witches only care about the empire when they want to burn it down.
Yeah. So they're like
true.
anti-capitalist.
Wait, what's a changeling again? I feel like
I don't know.
Want to think it's like a little baby thing.
An evil baby.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm looking it up right now. Okay, there's a lot of different pictures here of what a changeling looks like.
Oh, I have the definition here.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, it's a child believed to have been secretly substituted by fairies for the parent's real child in infancy.
Okay.
So, what if we're changelings?
We might be. It makes sense because change.
Oh, right.
They do a little changeling.
Well, I wish I was a changeling because I want to be a fairy.
Me too. Actually, that might be my Halloween costume this year.
A fairy?
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah,
I've
'cause-
been reading the fairy book, A Court of
Oh, God.
Thorns and Roses. So
Yeah.
fairies are just all up in my
What
life
do you think?
right
Is
now.
it really confusing? Because I read a different book a different series, but written by the same author, the first book, and it was really fucking confusing because of the whole world.
This is easy.
Oh, okay.
Easy read.
Yeah, if you read the other one, they just introduce it's like Game of Thrones where they throw all these different characters and
I have the Game of Thrones books, and I gave up because I couldn't keep up with everything.
yeah.
But no, this is not. It's very easy to read. Very easy to understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Anywho.
the other thing I had about witches and myth and religion is the three fates. So if you think about Hercules and those like three like
Oh,
underworld with
the
the thread,
scissors.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
them.
So they controlled the destiny of human life, and they're like considered witches kind of in a way.
Yeah, they look like witches.
Yeah.
For sure. Remember when they try to cut the hair and then it doesn't cut?
Oh yeah. I need to watch that movie over. I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid.
Oh my God. I've watched it probably like 3 or 4 times in the last like 5 years.
Why?
It was on Disney, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
I love
haven't-
this movie.
Do you have Disney Plus?
I do.
Oh,
Add it to our list. Hercules, the craft.
Hercules, the craft. So then we have witches in literature and fairy tales.
Ooh, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I put Gretel and Hansel because I wanted the girl to be first when I wrote it in my notes.
And I still read it as Hansel and Gretel because that's how it's supposed to be. That's like how it is in my brain.
Yeah, but we know the story of Hansel and Gretel. Well, do we? All I know is it's the two little kids and they go to the house.
Well, the witch
with
leaves
the witch's house.
a trail of candy or bread or something. She leaves something,
yeah.
and they follow it into the woods, and then they find her house, and then she wants to eat them. She wants to stuff them in the oven.
Oh yeah.
'Cause she's a little.
Because she's a witch.
She's a witch.
So yeah, that's.
But you know,
In fairy tales, that's where we start to see them as like evil.
yeah, they get a bad rap.
And then we have Snow White.
We're not evil witches.
We're not.
We just
We're
don't
good
like
witches.
capitalism and patriarchy.
Exactly.
And
So
we want to bring good things to us through spells.
yeah, we want to control our own destiny.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it. Oh yeah, so the Snow White witch, that was the lady
apple
with
one.
the apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's evil.
Yeah, she was like the classic like witch with a wart.
Yeah, and a humpback. And like
Yeah.
her long fingers and ugh.
But that makes me want to sit up straight because I'm not a humpback witch.
I don't want to be a humpback witch either. Oh, straight up.
Oh, straight up.
Straight up.
Then we have, okay, this is a lot, and I don't know if we'll cut out if we feel like it's too much, I guess. Then we have witches in Celtic literature. So that is the tales of the Taliesin in the 6th century. So that's where Merlin, the wizard,
Merlin?
comes. Yeah, you know Merlin,
I have
the
a
wizard Merlin.
cousin named Merlin.
You haven't heard of the wizard Merlin?
No, I haven't.
This is Wizard Merlin and Morgan Le Fay.
Okay.
That's where they come in. And so those led to the stories like The Sword and the Stone and The Mists of Avalon.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have
Then we have Shakespeare. Shakespeare had the weird sisters in Macbeth, which is like funny to say, like the weird sisters.
yeah.
But they
That's what they're
resemble.
called.
That's what they're called. They resemble the fates and guide Macbeth into darkness rather than life. So those were some more evil witches.
Mm-hmm. Then we have, this one was my favorite actually, and this is the one that I had never heard of because it's Slavic, Eastern European. They call her Baba Yaga, and she's an old child-eating sorceress, and she's known for like living in the woods, and her house has chicken legs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, her house is chicken legs. That's
So
all.
she eats kids just like the one in Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, so I think maybe Hansel and Gretel might have come from that part of the world.
Baba Yaga sounds terrifying.
Yeah, she seems kind of cute though.
Just a Baba.
All right, so let's talk about some tools of magic. That's what we
Yeah.
really want to get into.
Yeah, I was like really interested in the actual magic part.
Yeah, and this is part, there was so much history that I was like, damn. And then I got into the magic part, and there's so much. It's just a lot. But what I read is one of the first things that you do whenever you're trying to do a spell or a ritual is to ground yourself and cast a circle.
Okay.
And so if you see, the pentagram is a circle, but you see a lot of times there's like a circle drawn on the ground, or women are like
With salt.
holding hands, or with salt, or
Oh,
with
yeah.
stones.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like casting the circle, and it's supposed to be like an energy barrier
Okay.
to hold energy in and then keep the bad energy out
Okay.
as you set whatever intention you're trying to set
Gotcha.
for that.
Okay.
And I lost my notes, but I could go in deeper, but that's like basically it with the circle.
So every spell, like you have to be in a circle? Like you draw a circle around you?
And I don't think you have to draw it necessarily. It can also be like visualizing it.
Okay.
And it could be a coven casting the circle together,
That's
or it
gonna
can
be
just be
us.
an individual. Yeah, and then I want to show you this picture.
Ooh.
It's really cool. So it's a coven, all kind of holding hands together in a circle, and then they've cast an inner circle with a cone. So that's another thing, is the cone of power, they call
Wow.
it. Yeah, it's you can visualize it, or you can draw it, or you can cast it in any other way. Let's see. It also says the magic circle signifies the eternal pattern of light. Of life. So if you think about like
because the
like-
circle of life.
yes, exactly. So you think about birth, death, and renewal, and it's all like it doesn't end or start, but it's all circular.
That makes sense. You were telling me that a coven normally is no more than 13 witches.
Yeah. So this is based on one specific, kind of the traditional coven. Our coven doesn't have to be traditional.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
As long as like that's not a real rule and we can still make magic, then I'm good with letting more than 13 people in. But do we even have 13 friends?
Maybe not 13 close friends that we would trust to be in our coven.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I think that we could collect 13 people.
We
But
could. But they have to be trustworthy.
yeah, because we're sharing energies here.
Yeah, we can't have no bad energy in our circle.
Yeah, so it says creating a coven is creating a network of different energies and channeling them towards a collective goal. So we have to have
Okay.
a collective goal, and maybe it could be broad, you know. Mm-hmm. But the collective goal is maybe anti-patriarchy,
Okay.
anti-capitalism,
Right.
Or maybe it's just like living a good life, being happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All of the above.
yeah. We have Gerald Garner. He's known for bringing, like, the father of neo-paganism or whatever.
Okay.
So he brings it into the modern world, and he had a system for covens. And in his system, which is also his system of Wicca, there's a high priest and a high priestess, and they kind of facilitate and offer guidance for the coven. They administrate the coven, and then they also lead the rituals, which I don't really like. That feels too...
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like,
religion-y.
yeah, I don't want to be above. I mean, obviously we would be the high priestesses because we're the coven starters.
Yeah,
But I don't wanna-
love it being like a priest either.
No,
like,
I don't want to be like the main person.
Yeah,
I want us to all be,
we have a collective goal.
we have a collective coven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're all just figuring it out, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, traditionally 13 witches, but according to the Gerald Garner way, anything under 13 witches is okay too,
Okay.
it seems. But if it goes over 13 people, then they can do this thing called hiving off. And that's where some like senior level witches can decide to start their own coven and branch off of the coven because it's gotten too big. Yeah.
Well, I think we have a lot of excitement cut out for us in the next couple months as we are learning.
Yeah,
Witchcraft.
We're on a journey. Allie bought a book, which I'm really excited about.
Yes.
But it seems like, well, we'll see. The way it's described, it sounds like we are taking a course to really learn.
Yeah, to learn the ins and outs.
Maybe we can like kind of trade off these books,
Yeah, we should.
like week by week.
yeah, we should.
Like once you get your book, keep it for a week.
And then
And
when
then
we
I'll-
see each other
We'll switch
for
it.
the pod,
Yeah,
we'll switch it.
I like
sounds
that.
good. That's
Because
cute.
this book is like $40, and we shouldn't both have to buy it.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a nice find.
I know,
crazy.
dude. It's a nice book. Yeah, that's kind of like all for now.
We might revisit this later in the future.
We might. I think we should at least do a part 2.
Yeah, because
But-
I want to know more about the spells and
The magic
what
part of it.
what goes into being a witch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. We should definitely revisit it at some point. But you know what we can do
What?
is we have a request from one of our listeners to do the little question cards that we
Yeah,
had been doing.
We got a feedback from a listener, and she really likes it when we do these cards.
And I like it too.
Me too.
You know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
We actually, it's kind of funny because the podcast space that we like to record at, they happen to have a deck of these kind of cards.
Yeah, we didn't even have to bring them.
Yeah, this one is called Let's Get Deep Friends Edition.
Perfect.
So this is Icebreaker. I feel like we need more than just Icebreaker though.
Yeah, we're
This is
past
deep,
that.
and then we have Deeper. Let's go deeper.
Oh shit.
Whose opinion matters to you the most?
My dad.
Aw.
Because I love him and I want him to be proud of me. And I think he's the best. And I just want him, like, his opinion isn't the only one that matters to me, but it's probably the most important to me.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god, this sound is really good.
We have ASMR microphones.
I shouldn't put my lips on it so
I'm a witch. We're witches.
But that's nice that your dad's opinion matters to you.
Yeah.
But like, would he be the one that you would go to for like advice?
A lot of
usually?
times, yeah, because he's very smart and level-headed and factual and logical, you know.
We love a dad that's like that and,
Yeah.
and one that's there.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go to him, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't like that advice.
Yeah. But it's good to hear like something that maybe you wouldn't think of yourself.
Yeah.
All right. You want to ask me one?
In what ways might you be privileged?
Oh, girl. Yeah, I'm privileged. I'll admit it.
We're privileged.
I'm privileged. I am a white woman, non-threatening looking white woman who grew up
You're
in a
pretty
family.
scary looking to me.
Who grew up in, I mean, I think I've had to come to terms with my privilege because I always felt like we didn't really have a lot of money. We were poor, and I used to feel like things were unfair for me a lot. And while they are, I can also check my privilege and know that
Yeah.
in comparison to most people probably, things are easier for me.
Yeah, I had to come to terms with mine too. Because I felt the same way. I didn't grow up with money. So when I heard like, oh, well, you're privileged, it's like, no, I'm not. But we are. We're white.
Yeah.
First of all, first and foremost, we're white. We're non-threatening.
Yeah, people look at us and they're like, yeah, she can. Like, I feel like even if we don't feel like we fit in or don't exactly look the part, we could be kind of in a rich space or in any kind of like high privilege space and nobody would question us too much.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah.
I used to not feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't really feel that way, but I also know that like it's not like people are going to be like, no, you can't come in.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're definitely privileged. And it took me a while, not a while, but it kind of was like a light bulb going off when I heard like, okay, but privilege doesn't mean just wealth.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what I always thought of it as, like, oh, you're privileged. You have a silver spoon up your ass or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But privilege as a white person is like its own privilege. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so that was kind of like, I was like, oh, I get it, you know? So, yeah. And you're not, like, you're privileged in a way of being able-bodied.
Yeah. And I mean, I was able, even though we didn't have a lot of money, I still was able to go to college, get a college education. Like we always had food. I had my own bedroom. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't have that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like even though we weren't rich, we were probably lower middle class, but like we had a home and we had a family and yeah.
Yeah.
Like I grew up with two parents.
Yeah.
Like lots of privilege there.
Yeah, there's a lot of privilege there. Well,
Yeah. Well, that was a good ending to witchcraft.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. I do want to mention our.
Oh yes, I love that you always remember.
I know,
So
because
good at
I
this.
don't know. I just like I
Wait.
like it.
I like it too, but you're good at remembering it.
I know. I don't know why. Our last episode was about astrology. If you didn't listen to it, you probably should go listen now because we had a special guest on, Elizabeth. And it was a really good episode. But our question for that week was, do you know your sun, moon, and rising signs? And we have most of our listeners said yes, like the back of my hand. And then we have, so that was 66%, 67%. And then
Yeah.
we have 333%, which angel numbers.
Witchy.
So 33% said no, I have to look it up. So we got some
Okay.
astrologers over
Yeah.
here.
Okay. I guess you guys know about astrology.
I guess.
Nobody asked what's that.
Nobody said what's that. So everyone knows what their sun, moon, and rising is who at least voted.
Yeah, but I think it's because maybe the people that are listening to this episode are into astrology. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
they were
clicking
probably
on
like,
it.
"Ooh, astrology."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
It does make sense. Back to the country western
Oh, yeah,
episode.
well, hope you liked our country western episode this time. Hope
Yeah.
you learned a lot
Well,
about cowboys.
Cowboys in Mississippi. That's I mean, Texas, really?
Texas.
Texas and cowboys. That's what we've been talking about, and I'm glad you guys liked it. I mean, I hope you did, because we really stuck to the bit.
We did.
We sure did. Okay,
Sure did.
I gotta get Bessie back to the stables now. So,
One thing we're doing now for the whole month of
whoa,
October.
Bessie.
Bessie can shut the fuck up. I'm just kidding. For the whole month of October, we're ending each episode with a spooky story from one of our listeners.
Yes, we are. And so, without further ado, we're going to read you this story.
Yes.
So we've got our first spooky story for Spooktober.
Yes, we've been telling you to send us our spooky stories, and y'all came through.
All right, so we have our first spooky story of Spooktober,
Yes.
and it's very exciting. This story is very vulnerable, and it's not like a scary jump scare, but
Yeah, it's not like a
definitely
scary ghost story or something, but it's definitely
freaky deaky.
freaky deaky.
Yeah. So here it is. It's from one of our listeners and friends. I want to preface this by saying that I'm agnostic. I have no idea what the truth is about what happens after death. I'm not someone who has ever claimed to have seen a ghost or anything. I'm pretty rooted in this world for the most part, but also acknowledge that my human perception is limited. With that being said, I realize this whole thing may have been a coincidence, but I've never had something so strange happen in my entire life. I'm going to give you a little backstory first. I grew up not knowing my biological father. I always knew who he was, but it was a complicated situation. He was married before he met my mother, but separated from his wife shortly before he and my mom began dating. He later reconciled with his wife when my mom was pregnant with me, and ultimately abandoned me and chose to live with his wife and other kids. That's sad. I reconnected with him when I was 18, but it was a very awkward situation, and neither of us knew what to say, so it quickly fizzled out. Every 4 to 5 years, we would text hello, but never went any further than that. Fast forward 14 years later, I was 32 and found out he had passed away. I was instantly full of regret, as well as grief for a man I never really knew. I was left with so many questions. Slowly, a lot of anger I didn't realize I had towards him began to bubble up to the surface. I talked to a friend who was also grieving her father's death, and she told me she would speak out loud to him and often ask him for signs that he was still there. When she told me the thing's signs, I kind of rolled my eyes. I figured some people can interpret anything as a sign to maintain a feeling of connection. A few weeks later, my boyfriend went out of town, and I was home alone for a week. I binged a really stupid show on Netflix called Young and Hungry. It's a young adult rom-com show about a young female chef starting her career. It's super light and breezy and totally episodic, with little to no serialized elements, meaning they don't tell you any of the character's backstory until you're watching at the episode it would apply to.
Since I was home alone for so long, I wasn't able to ignore some of the feelings I had been sitting with regarding my father. One night, my thoughts got really loud, so I paused the show and found myself pacing around the house thinking about him. I was having an imaginary conversation with him in my head, and was cursing at him, telling him how much of a coward he was for literally abandoning me. Eventually, I found myself hysterically crying, and I yelled out loud, "I need you to give me a sign that you cared about me. Did you ever think about me?" After a few minutes, I got myself back together and found myself once again vegging out on the couch and started the show back up. I had no idea what the next episode was going to be about, as they never connect to the previous one. Within the first 10 seconds, we learned that the character was abandoned as a baby by his father. Within 50 seconds, the character reads a letter from his father saying, "I have a lot of regrets in life, none bigger than not being a part of yours." In a later conversation, the father says, "I had no excuse abandoning you and your mother." I don't totally understand how my dead father could pull off using an episode of a show that was written before he died to speak to me, but I have a lot of wild theories. One being that his spirit started an argument with me in my head right when he knew that episode was about to begin, and somehow prompted me to ask that question. But that obviously sounds a bit crazy, and obviously it could have all been a coincidence.
That's wild.
That's a sign.
I would definitely be freaked out if that happened to me.
I would too, and I would definitely be like, okay, well, that's my dad. Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to tell me something.
Yeah,
I think it's a sign.
for sure.
It's too like coincidental.
I know. Like, I'm like getting chills just thinking
Yeah,
about
me
it.
too. Like, if that happened to me, I would be
Mhm.
like, oh my god, I just got chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know. Would you want something like that to happen to you with one of your passed away family members?
I would say like maybe back in the day, no, but now, yeah. Like on my mom's birthday, I asked her to come give me a sign that she was hanging out with us when we were like eating dinner in her honor and stuff, but she didn't, so wah wah.
I haven't actually done that.
That was one of the first times that I've done it.
Did this story inspire you too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe she was with your brother or your dad.
You know what? Maybe, but we went and had Lebanese food. That's her
In
favorite.
her honor.
In her honor, that's her favorite. So you know,
She should have been there.
yeah, she's probably upset that I was drinking so much wine. Maybe she did give me a sign and I didn't know because I was so tipsy.
Did you get really hungover the next day? Maybe that was your sign.
No.
The punishment from your mom.
Yeah, she's like, how dare you drink in my honor?
All right.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and be
That's right.
our 102nd follower at Thank You So Much Pod. Send us an email if you want. If you have a spooky story,
Yeah, we're collecting more.
we
sure.
can still collect more. So thank you so much pod@gmail.com. You can DM us your spooky story, whatever you want. But we hope you liked today's episode.
Yes. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Mwah, mwah,
Mwah.
mwah.